What's up, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of LaFlare Radio. We've got our NBA preview. Just a few days left until the NBA regular season, and Brian Arnold here with Dee Greatest and Hot Rod as usual. And we're going to break down each team in the NBA, starting in the Eastern Conference, ranking teams from 15 all the way down to 1. We're going to talk about why we have those teams ranked in each position, their strengths, their weaknesses, and everything we see for the upcoming season. So like I said, starting with the Eastern Conference, we'll start with you, Hot Rod. What team do you have last in the 15 spot in the Eastern Conference?
I have the Atlanta Hawks as the worst team in the Eastern Conference. The reason I have them down there is they've just blown up the roster. I mean, a couple years ago, they were a 60-win team. They were one of the teams to challenge the Cavs, and they just never got better, and they let some of their key guys go. And this offseason, they let Paul Millsap go, and I just don't see them recovering from that. And it looks like they're just ready to rebuild and find that next star through the draft.
What about you, DG?
I have the Orlando Magic as the worst team in the East next year.
Ooh.
I did not see any progression. Frank, I love you. I don't think you should have took that job, man. I think you should have waited for something else. I'm looking at this team. I think they finally decided what they're going to do with Aaron Gordon, which is a positive. But at the same time, I still don't have faith in Elfrid Payton. I think they need to let that go. Their draft pick, was it Jonathan Isaac, I believe? I don't think he changes the culture. I just see a team that doesn't belong in this league right now. They need to decide what they're going to do with Vucevic. He should have been going a long time ago. But if you're going to keep him, make sure that you at least improve his stock some sort of way, because he's a guy that can help a lot of these playoff teams out, especially Cleveland, who I always felt like they need a big. I think he would have been a really nice fit over there, but we'll get to Cleveland later. As of now, Orlando, just from top to bottom, I don't see them competitive in both sides of the court.
All right, well, let's move on to the next spot. 14, Rod. Who do you have?
I have the Chicago Bulls at number 14.
Oh, why is that?
I feel like they're in the same kind of boat with the Hawks. They had a playoff team last year, and they had some great players and future Hall of Famers, but they decided that they wanted to blow it up, and by trading Jimmy Butler this offseason, they got Chris Dunn, they got the number 7 pick in which they drafted the 7-footer from Arizona, and they got Zach LaVine. The reason why I have them at 14 is because Zach LaVine isn't healthy now. And if he was healthy now, and even if he never had the ACL injury, they'd be a lot higher, but he's coming off that injury, and that's a tough injury to come off of, and Chicago doesn't have the best injury history with that type of injury, as we know what went on with Derrick Rose and stuff like that. So I really think they're going to take their time with LaVine and bring him on slowly, and I feel like that's going to hurt them because they don't really have much on this roster that can really help propel them.
I will say they did look pretty good in that preseason game against the Cavaliers the other night, but the Cavaliers weren't really going all out in that one, obviously. And back on Media Day, I know Media Day isn't really good look at what the season is going to be like, but there were a lot of photos that came out from Media Day that made the Bulls, just everything that was going on, look kind of like a joke. But we'll see what happens. They got some, like you said, they've got some guys that could make something happen, but with Zach LaVine being hurt and taking so long to come on, he's going to have to be a big part of that team if they're going to do anything. So DG, 14th spot. Who you got?
14th, I have the Atlanta Hawks. I'm looking at this roster, and I watched this YouTube video on the top 3 trios in the league, and Atlanta Hawk was dead last, and they put Marco Bellinelli in their big 3. That right there should let me know that you're not making the playoffs. I'm looking at this roster, and with Dennis Schroeder included, in my opinion, I don't see any pure scorers. I don't see anybody that can take pressure off of the rest of the players on this team. They expected a lot from Dennis, and I feel like he can come through, but I feel like they're giving him too much. I mean, my God, he's not Allen Iverson. Mike Muscala, Miles Plumlee as bigs.
Don't forget Deadman.
Dwayne Dedman, that's right. Ilyasova, who I don't even feel like he's a big because he's never in the paint in my mind. I just don't see anything worth being excited about. The Tyron Prince kid, I'm not a fan of. I seen him play a couple times against the Bulls when we matched up. He was pretty bad in all matchups. And Stacey King was just telling me how they just need to leave him open just to stay. A lot of people talk about Bazemore. Bazemore is a role player to me. He does not have an all-star ceiling, in my opinion. And I'm pretty sure that's a little favorable. With that said, there's just nothing to be excited for Atlanta.
Yeah, I feel bad for Schroeder, especially. So I really like that kid. He's fun to watch. And I'd really like to see him in a better situation. So moving on to the next spot, 13, Hot Rod. Who you got?
I have the Orlando Magic at 13. The Orlando Magic may take a little step back from the moves that they made last offseason that were really bad. The Serge Ibaka deal was bad. They got rid of him, got Terrence Ross. That was okay. I think they did a good job of signing Jonathan Simmons and drafting Jonathan Isaac. So they're moving in the right direction. They're going to be a little more defensive than people think, but they don't really have like that guy. They don't have no one that can score when they need to or just create for others. And I mean, Elfrid Payton is an okay creator, but he can't shoot. So it's like really tough for defenses to really focus on him. So the Magic, I think they'll be okay on defense and may score. And like DG was saying, I really want to see strides from Hezonja. Like if Hezonja can really grow into the status or where he was drafted, then they can really push forward. And with him and Isaac, especially like 2 young pieces, they can really grow. And maybe in the lottery one more year, they grab that 3rd piece. And if they can grow together, then they can really have a bright future.
It would be really nice to see what Aaron Gordon can do with some better pieces around him. He's been so fun to watch these last couple of years, but he's been held back by the team around him.
Yeah, and I think Aaron Gordon as well, like he's good, but I feel like he's a little overrated. I think he has the skill set to be good, but I don't think he has the skill set to be like a star in the league or anything like that. Like he could be a high-end role player, 3rd option guy.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like his ceiling, but
Definitely.
I don't think he can be like an all-star, like perennial all-star, anything like that.
He's the type of guy where if you put him on a team with a superstar like LeBron James or Russell Westbrook or Paul George, Chris Paul, any of those guys, James Harden, I feel like they would bring the best out of him.
Exactly,
on the
like
court.
they would make him look really good.
But he's not the type of guy that's going to be the face of a team and lead them to anything.
Exactly.
So, DG, who do you have in the 13th spot?
The 13th spot, I have Brooklyn. Now, I really, really like the D'Angelo Russell move for the long term. He does have all-star potential. I feel like he could be a top 10 point guard in this league. I don't know about 5, but he'd be 10. Him and Jeremy Lin are just going to have the ultimate green light. And to me, they're just going to really score. I like Karis LeVert. You know, I know he has some injury issues in Michigan, but when he plays, he definitely performs. The DeMar Carroll move, you know, for defensive purposes, I guess that's all right. But, you know, he really disappointed me in Toronto, so it's hard for me to really think that's a chain mover. But other than that, you know, looking at Rondé Hollis Jefferson, seeing if he's going to transfer from a role player into a full front stud. You know, I look at him as having an opportunity to have a Jimmy Butler type of career. You know, I mean, he's had the opportunity in Brooklyn to develop. I mean, he had all the time. They weren't doing nothing. But he had a lot of talent and a lot of potential. I really liked him a lot. One thing they didn't have issues with is scoring in the preseason. We've seen that. And I really feel like that can transition to the league. So, you know, it's good for the future. But right now, they just not in the right class.
DeMar Carroll, I think, is a really important kind of X factor with that team. Like you said, it was disappointing, his performance in Toronto the last couple of years, especially with the expectations and what we've seen as far as potential-wise with him. If he can step up and be a major player for that team, I think it can really push them more into around, you know, the top 10 in the East if he can do that. And like you said with Hollis Jefferson, he's still really young, 22 years old, and such potential with that guy. It would be really awesome to see him come into his own with the help of a dynamic point guard like D'Angelo Russell.
Absolutely. And if DeMar doesn't step up, Allen Crabbe will. You know, I feel like Portland really made a mistake letting him slip out their fingers.
So moving on to 12, Rod, who you got?
I have the Indiana Pacers at number 12. They lost a lot. They took a big step back when they traded Paul George for basically nothing. I think they really hurt their future. I'm not saying Victor Oladipo is a bad player, but OKC really got out of that deal that they gave him last year, that big contract, and it's just interesting to me that the Pacers went ahead and traded Paul George and got that big contract back, and they got Sabonis back. Like, they have a good couple pieces. Miles Turner can really turn the corner and really show that he's a franchise player for them this year. But other than that, they grabbed a couple pieces, Corey Joseph, Darren Collison, and I think they can be okay. But with how weak the East is now and they don't have any star power really, I don't think that they can really make that big of a move towards fighting for a playoff spot. I think that they'll be right around 12.
DG?
For me, number 12 will be my team, the Chicago Bulls. I think the Bulls have a better offense than every team I named so far, especially from the perimeter. Not individual talent. Not individual talent is better on the Bulls is better than guys like D'Angelo or Aaron or Dennis. But as a collective unit, they can really do something. And by individual talent, I'm saying it with the thoughts that Zach LaVine is not playing at the moment. But when he comes, I'm sure he's going to rifle. No, I know Chris Dunn is not a shooter at all. But he's going to have shooters surrounded. So that's going to do well. And to me, he's a better playmaker anyway. He's more of a pure point. I wouldn't look at him as a scoring point guard like the majority of the league has with their point guards. So I feel like that's going to work out for the better for us. But he is a defender, really good defender, especially, with the hardest position in the league at point, we need somebody that can maintain. So, at worst, he could be a Patrick Beverly that can pass. But if he could get his jump shot together, he could really do something. I can't stand our bigs. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I can't stand them. I love Robin, but the rest of them, Nico, trash. Felicio,
What
trash.
about Portis?
Portis is as good as he wants to be. That's what I can say right now.
Because he looked pretty good during the playoffs, but like you said, like I feel like he's hella inconsistent.
It's so inconsistent, you don't know, because he looked good in the playoffs, but in a regular season, to me, he wasn't as good as his rookie season. I may be wrong, because the eye test will be the first test that you fail a lot of times. But just from what I've seen, I feel like it's not something I can depend on. He's not going to be one of these guys that's going to get the max rookie contract or nothing like that. I feel like right now he's in Nico range, even though Nico got overpaid. Laurie, I am not with it so far. I'm not with it. I don't care what he did in Europe. I feel like we should have grabbed Dennis Smith Jr. or Malik Monk. I feel like we should have got somebody that we actually are more sure of than Laurie, because we have a history of getting, shooting bigs that don't pan out well. So why would you get another one? Hopefully he's different. I look at Denzel, I feel like he might sneak up and be one of the better producers for our team. Him and Justin Holiday. I really like that we got Justin Holiday back. We should have never lost him last year, But hey, we'll see.
Well, moving to 11 now. Hot Rod, who you got?
I got the Brooklyn Nets at 11. I think that, like DG was saying earlier, they made a great move on getting D'Angelo Russell, although the pick that they traded to get him ended up being Kyle Kuzma, who we'll talk about a little bit later. I think they did a great job, and like a lot of people aren't talking about Jeremy Lin. Like I know Lin Sanity was a long time ago, but he's a very underrated player. He's played when he's been healthy, like he's been playing pretty well. And pairing him up with D'Angelo Russell, like they have a pretty potent backcourt that can score. They may not be able to defend anyone, but they'll be able to score. And Rondé Hollis-Jefferson has lockdown potential. And even the trade for Allen Crabbe, they offered him that huge contract last year. Portland matched, and this year they ended up trading for him. And he's another shooter that they can really use on that team and really offset what Rondé Hollis-Jefferson can't do. So they could play a little small ball, have him there, have Mozgov at the 5, and really just play fast and shoot a lot of threes. And in the East, that could get you a decent amount of wins.
Yeah, the Nets, it's interesting. They seem like a real sleeper. They seem like they have a lot of potential. It'll be interesting to see what they do. You can't underplay how much a dynamic point guard can bring the best out of a lot of players on the team that have been underperforming, especially Jeremy Lin. To see what he can do with D'Angelo Russell, we've seen a little bit of it already in the preseason. I think Brooklyn fans have a little bit to get excited about. Not to jump the gun too early, but they're moving their way up.
Yeah, I think they've done a good job. Well, this new general manager has done a good job of really getting past that terrible, terrible Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce trade that gave Boston all of those picks.
Man.
But by trading for D'Angelo Russell, they kind of just got one of the number 2 picks. They got one of those picks back by doing that. So that really helped them in that terms. And now they have a piece that they can build around. And Karis LeVert, I didn't even mention, like he had a pretty good season last year when he was healthy as well. The big key for them is just trying to keep everyone healthy. And if they could keep everyone healthy, they could really take a big step from where they used to be in their or where their reputation has been.
So DG, number 11.
Detroit basketball. Now we're talking about teams in my list that have playoff potential. Detroit, to me, can make the playoffs, even though I don't have them making the playoffs. They have AFC potential. As Rod reminded me a couple weeks back, the Avery Bradley move, really saved them losing KCP, which I still feel like they should have kept them. But hey, with the weaker East and all these little guards that are trying to really do something for their teams now, like John Wall and Kemba and Kyrie, you're going to need Avery Bradley on your team. And, Avery is somebody you would rather play with than play against. Andre Drummond, what do you want to do? Who do you want to be? Paul Pierce gave you an enormous endorsement. Halfway, because he said he was disappointed because he thought you were going to be better. But prove us wrong, because 99% of the NBA world thinks he was crazy. You were an all-star before, if I'm not mistaken. Get back to it. I mean, you're 6'11", 279. There's not a lot of bigs, not just in the East, but in the NBA, that should be able to guard you. I know you've been working on your moves, but hey, it's time to dominate, man. I like Henry Ellison. I like Tobias a lot, Reggie, I hope he can stay healthy, because to me, he's very key to that season. If he can have a really good bounce back season, I'm going to be wrong about this 11 pick. I know that for a fact. And it's not meant to be disrespectful. It's just, looking at the history of the league and seeing where teams are trending now, I just place them right here, more so on a power ranking tip. But hey, this is a team that can definitely prove me wrong.
That backcourt with Reggie Jackson and Avery Bradley could definitely be scary if, like you said, Reggie Jackson can stay healthy.
No doubt. It's a little small for me, but they're both defenders, so you can somewhat get away with it. My thing is, which is why they're so low, when you start playing against these teams, even though they're playing small ball, their version of small ball are not 6'2" guys. These guys still have size on them. And through an 82-game season, and both of them have an injury history, and I don't know, I'm a little afraid of that. And I don't think they have enough offensive firepower. But, we'll see.
Now, moving into the top 10, Hot Rod, who's your pick?
I got the New York Knicks at number 10. I think that they did a decent job in what they got in return for Carmelo. They obviously did a better job than the Pacers did in their Paul George deal. But I think getting Cantor was good for them. They can build around him and Porzingis. Porzingis can sort of cover up his defensive limitations with his length. And Cantor's such a good offensive player that they sort of needed that offensive punch. I like the draft pick that they got, Frank Ntilikina. I don't like where they got him, but I like him as a prospect. I think he can be a really good defensive guard, and I don't know whether he's a 1 or a 2 yet. We'll just have to see, but I think that he's a good piece moving forward for them. And that Tim Hardaway contract, oh my gosh, that was an awful contract. I don't know what gave them the audacity to think that he's worth $72 million, but that's neither here or there. But the Knicks moving forward, I think they can have a really good offense that can score a lot of points in the East, and that'll get them a few wins. But on defense, they are really bad, and that's where it's going to hurt them. And that's why I see them right outside of the playoffs at 10.
If Mike Beasley can do what he says he can do, he could be he could do something for them.
I forgot about my boy Beasley.
He could put him in a better place.
It depends. I mean, if they decide to start him, then he has the opportunity to score points for them. But if they bring him off the bench and have him play small ball 4 or maybe command the second unit, he could still have a big year. But I don't know how that would affect them in terms of like standing wise.
McDermott, too, he can be some good offense off the bench for them. Moving over to DG, number 10.
Number 10, I got the Indiana Pacers. I have more faith in Miles Turner than I do Andre Drummond. I feel like he could keep them, relative. I do think, they're a year away from getting back into the playoffs, but, with Miles Turner, Oladipo having something to prove, and to be honest, Oladipo is not a guy who can be an option, a second, third option type guy. He's a guy that needs some freedom, so I understand why he didn't work out in OKC. So now he got the reins to be free, be unrestricted, and I really feel like he's going to bounce back. He needs to, because his career, is in check. This is going to be the time where we could decide, are you going to be one of the better shooting guards in the league, or were we wrong and you're just going to have to be what you were at OKC, and that's just a role player. I feel like Oladipo can be one of the better shooting guards in the East. I feel like he could get, I feel like he has top 5 potential when it comes to shooting guards. Not at the moment, but, as guys get older, as he starts getting years into the league, I feel like he could creep up there. My thing is Oladipo and Lance. I don't like that. I don't feel like those are guys you can play together. I don't feel like those are guys where you can bench. I would, honestly, since Paul George is not there anymore, I would move Lance. I know he did a lot for the Pacers, and he gave them a lot of heart that they didn't have all season last year when he came back. But, recently in his career, he's been moving around, and I don't see any reason why he should stay afloat. Outside of that, I like Thaddeus Young. He's always been a savvy veteran. Al Jefferson, in his last years, can still produce off the bench. I love the Corey Joe move. I really feel like that's going to work out well for them. Sabonis, it's going to be really interesting. Right now, I don't think he can play with Miles Turner. But at the same time, I feel like Sabonis can be definitely much better than what we've seen him in OKC, with the pressure off. So, 10 spot.
Moving into number 9. Hot Rod.
Number 9, I have the Detroit Pistons, just right outside of the playoffs. I think that they're right about where they were last year, honestly. I don't think they did too much to get better. I mean, they traded Morris. They let KCP go. And they got Avery Bradley, which was a good step forward. But I don't see them really improving. Drummond, in my opinion, is probably going to be the same player that he was. Reggie Jackson doesn't really fit well. Like, when he first got there, he was a good piece for them. But last year, they played better when he wasn't on the floor. So I'm not sure how that's going to work. Maybe Avery Bradley will bring some different leadership to that team that maybe will help them out. But I still see them as sort of like the same team that they were last year. But I really like the draft pick that they got. I really like how they got Luke Kennard. I think he can be a good piece moving forward. And Henry Ellison could be another piece that they can work around. But that's more for the future. But right now, I think they are stagnant in where they are.
DG?
Rod, it's so funny. We disagree a lot, but we have the same teams missing the playoffs. Different orders, but the same teams, because my number 9 is the New York Knicks. I got them just missing the playoffs. Okay, let me put it this way. Yeah, Tim Hardaway got paid too much money. But I like the investment, even though I don't like the total.
Yeah, I like the idea in getting him, but for that amount of money, I don't think it was worth it. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense, and I can see that. But I personally feel like, I guess, bold claim number one today, I feel like he's going to lead the Knicks in scoring this season. Porzingis is going to have a lot of freedom. He's going to probably make the All-Star team, if not just out of fact of play, but fans are just going to give him all the votes because he's so popular. I feel like he could play both ends of the court. There's not a lot he can't do. I wish he could rebound a little better, but, it comes with time. And he's still getting stronger as he's getting older. Just stay on the court. That's all he has to do. But at the same time, I feel like him and Tim Hardaway are going to really be a 1-2 punch. I know Beasley's there. Yeah, Beasley, no, I don't see you averaging 25 or anything close to that. No. I feel like you're eventually going to go into the bench and be a six-man. Tim Hardaway, to me, I was very impressed with him in Atlanta last year. I feel like I felt like the Knicks gave up too early on him anyway, but I understood the having him, Iman, and JR thing. It was just too much at the two. Although that was a lot of talent at the two. But now that he's back, and to me, he fits the team. It's a need. I like him and Courtney Lee. I like him playing with Beasley when Beasley's on the court. And I like Ron Baker spelling him. Enes Kanter, the reason why I like this move is that even though they got rid of Melo, they still brought back a post presence. And which Melo did really well was take advantage in the post at the 4. And, Enes Kanter is going to do that at the 5 because his post game is A1. I know he's not considered a top center in the league and all that, but when it comes to just offensive centers, Kanter is most definitely up there. Get rid of Joakim. That's all I'm going to say about Joakim. Frank, I don't know if he's 1 or 2 either. I really don't. I look at him 6'5", 190. To me, that's a 2. But at the same time, they said he wasn't a pure point, and they don't have one anyway, so to me, it's not going to matter. They're probably just going to focus on ball movement as a collective unit.
Yeah, that's a big thing I missed out on the Knicks, too. They got rid of Phil Jackson. They don't have to force themselves to do the triangle anymore.
Yeah.
So I think their offense will be a little different, and I think that'll help them. And I think they'll take a step forward, but I still think they're going to miss the playoffs.
Yeah, and you can't forget about Willie. What's this lad? Gomez, is that how you pronounce it? But Willie, to me, he's going to step up because when he got extended time, he was a really good producer as well. So him and Porzingis together, I feel like that's going to be the future. I feel like they adding Tim Hardaway to that core for years down. I feel like they're going to be right there in the mix.
Now moving into playoff contention, number 8. Hot Rod, who's your pick?
Trust the process. I have the Sixers at number 8. I think if Joel Embiid can stay healthy and play 50 games, 60 games, I think they'll be the 8th seed here. I really love the move that they did to get Markelle Fultz, solely for the fact that he can be an off-ball guard because we all know that Ben Simmons is going to be the primary ball handler for them. Mm-hmm. And Ben Simmons, in my opinion, is already like a top 5 passer in the NBA. Top 5, top 10, whatever number you want it to be, I think he's up there. And they're just so young, and I think that's why they're at number 8. But their future potential, like, this is one of the more scarier teams that you're going to see, like, ever in terms of just oozing of potential. And their J.J. Redick signing was huge, gives them some floor spacing, and having guys like Robert Covington and Nick Stauskas and Justin Anderson, they have some good wings and good guys that are going to compete on the defensive end. And having Joel Embiid, he's just so good at everything. Like, he has really no holes in his game. Like, he's a great defender, good shooter, can score in the post, can hit free throws. I think he has the potential to be one of the best players in the league if he can stay healthy. But he's had some injury history, and we'll just have to see how that goes.
DG?
Number 8, I got Charlotte. Bold claim number 2, Dwight Howard will have an all-star season. I'm not going to say he's going to make the team, but he will have a season where he will be in contention to make the team. I feel like he's in a perfect situation. He's in a smaller market. He has absolutely no pressure to win. He can just be himself. A lot of these teams, put him in unfavorable situations. I've known for a long time that he didn't want to play for the Lakers. I know I'm going back, but we're talking about Dwight. We really have to talk about the whole story. I knew he didn't want to play for the Lakers. I knew he didn't want to play with Kobe. And I knew he was not Shaq. He doesn't have the game like Shaq. If he did, I would say more so Orlando, where he was better in pick and roll. His post game is still bad, which is depressing. But anyways, I knew that wasn't gonna work. Houston, it was a struggle of ego between him and James, and the way the league was turning at that time. For the fact that Dwight wouldn't just accept the diminished role kind of hurt, because to me, he still could help Houston right now. And my guy, Houston with Dwight, CP3, and James would be really nice on paper, because Dwight can do everything that Clint Capella does, but in a better way, But that's his choice, He wanted somewhere, place where it could remind him back of his older days, and I feel like Charlotte would be just that for them. For me, the reason why they even made it to number 8 is I feel like they would be a better defending team than the rest of the teams that I got missing the playoffs. I feel like defense is going to push them. The Batum injury sucks. That's going to hold them back. I feel like Hornets are going to have to make a late season charge, but I feel like they can do it. He's definitely one of the most underrated players in this league. Batum, there's really not much he can't do. It's just that he's not elite at one thing. But, let them sleep. All eyes are on Kemba Walker for me. And I'm going to personally get at Kemba. I have something coming soon to the website talking about, it's do or die time for Kemba. Kemba has to put Charlotte into the playoffs. He has to. If he cannot do that, it's time to rebuild. And I'm so serious. Kemba's been there too long. And for them to only make the playoffs twice. And the first time, it wasn't really your team. It was still Gerald Wallace's. So really, you brought them there once. Nah, man. You're already limited defensively, and that's being nice. You've been improving your offense, which is wonderful. But the way that this league is going, it's not like I wouldn't call you a top 5 offensive point guard. Maybe, of course, top 10, but I don't think your offense is that good. Now it's time to put up them intangibles. Now I want to see leadership. I know you got the takeover ability. I know you're a fourth quarter guy, but now I really need to see everything turn into victories.
I agree. So moving to number 7, Hot Rod, who you got?
I flip-flopped. I have the Hornets at 7. I really do like the Dwight Howard trade that they made. They didn't really give up too much for him. And the thing with Dwight is he's a guy that likes to get touches, and the more touches he gets, the harder he's going to play. And I really think the Hornets were a perfect situation for him because he can sort of play that Al Jefferson role that they really needed. And with him, he can also be like a screen and roll guy. And it gives Kemba Walker like an extra element that he's really never had, like that alley-oop guy. And their pick and roll together would be really nasty and really hard for teams to guard with all the shooters that they have as well. So I really like that, and I really love their draft pick of Malik Monk. Malik Monk's someone that can really get buckets. Like, I feel like early on in his career, he could be right now like a poor man's version of Jamal Crawford, and the later on in his career he could be a better player. But right now, coming off the bench, they only need him to do one thing: is just get buckets. And the Batum injury does suck, but I think they can sort of overcome it with Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. He's a good defender. They lose out on all the little small things that Batum does, but Gilchrist can do that on defensive end, and I think Malik Monk can sort of bring the scoring that Batum does. So I really don't think they lose too much there, but I really like the Dwight Howard move that they made, and I really think that propelled them to the playoffs that they missed last year.
Dee Greatest, number 7.
Rod, you gonna like this one? I got Miami.
Actually, I don't like that.
You don't like them making the playoffs?
I do like them making the playoffs. I don't like where you have them.
What, at 7?
Yeah.
I don't feel like they should be any higher.
You think the Sixers will be higher than the Heat?
Absolutely.
Hey,
But hey, let's talk about it. Because I guess to, move ahead a little bit, Philly is on the spot right above them. But we'll get to that. Right now, Josh Richardson, I see you, man. I see you, Josh.
Hey, don't steal my guy, man.
Hey, I'm not saying. Trust me, I don't want anything to do with the Heat. I'm Bulls till I die, even though I'm in my casket right now. But anyway, Josh Richardson, to me, the Heat found their shooting guard in the future. I really believe that. Josh Richardson is nice, and it's gonna be more beneficial because he can shoot a 3, unlike Wade. But it's not a who's gonna be better thing, because Wade does a lot more things than Josh and did things more quickly than Josh. But he doesn't need that.
What you just said was so disrespectful.
What?
It's like me saying Chris Dunn will be better than D Rose.
How?
Because he could play defense.
No, but I just said D Wade does a lot more things better than Josh and did it at a quicker time. Did you not hear that?
But you said he could shoot unlike D Wade. Like it was a shot at D Wade.
He can't shoot. Can he shoot? Could he ever shoot?
That's just one thing that D Wade, he does better than D Wade.
Yeah, and at this time in this era of the league, he needs that.
Hey. All right, go ahead,
Wade coming into because we could go about stars in different eras at different time. But anyways, Josh, just know I see you. I feel like people are starting to sleep on Hassan Whiteside again. Like, my guy, Hassan could do anything these centers can do, but he could do more than these centers can do. Like, some centers block shots. Hassan blocks shots better. Some of these centers can dunk and are athletic. Hassan can dunk and he's athletic, but he does it more often. But he actually has a mid-range jumper. How many centers can say that? In this league that are supposed to be the star centers, to me, not a lot. Not the ones that are built as those pick-and-roll centers. Clint can't shoot. DeAndre can't shoot. Gobert can't shoot, in my opinion. Hassan, to me, he's going to wake people up. And he's a talker, so they're going to know he exists. To me, there's this perception that he's not a great defensive player because the team, when it comes to ratings, they're better with him off the court. Forget all that. Forget all that. When you got a guy that has triple-double potential that includes blocks, you play that man. To me, if it's a fourth quarter situation in clutch time and you need a stop, you're telling me you're going to put him on the bench? Absolutely not. You're going to play him. So y'all need to start giving Hassan more respect. Justice, I feel like he's going to get close to breaking out. I don't think he's going to break out completely. I feel like the breakout one is going to be Josh. The Olenek move was a really good move for them, to spread the floor. And I feel like him and Hassan Whiteside work well together. And of course, Goran. I feel like Goran's still going to be himself. I don't see any slippage. Him and Tyler Johnson at the point is just going to be amazing. I really like how Miami got themselves constructed. And Eric Spoelstra, who to me was the sole coach of the year, no disrespect to D'Antoni, I believe shared it with them, right? Yeah, to me it should have just been Eric. But he's probably going to, I feel like he's going to get it back-to-back. I feel like he's going to get it back-to-back.
Moving into 6. Rod, who you got?
I have the Milwaukee Bucks at 6.
Oh wow, 6th.
Yeah, the
That's
thing with the
all?
Bucks is they're a young team, and I think Giannis is gonna take another step forward. Giannis, however you say it. And I think that they can be right around where they were last year. I mean, they were the 6th seed last year, and I just think that it's gonna take them a little time to really incorporate Jabari Parker and Chris Middleton together into the team that they had, because right when Middleton was gone the whole first half of the season, and right when they got him back, Jabari got hurt. So they never really had that continuity of having each other and being as versatile as they can be. So I think they'll have a little time. And to me, this is the part of the East where they're like, these are all good teams. So like everyone's saying the East is so weak. Yeah, it's weak because of the bottom half, but I feel like the top half can really compete with any team in the West. Or not compete in terms. Listen, not compete in terms of beat them in the playoffs, but like Milwaukee is a team that gives Golden State problems.
Oh, okay.
Like
All right.
they'll compete like on a game-to-game basis. Like they
Okay.
can compete with those teams.
Okay.
So this is where these teams, like these are good teams. So the Milwaukee, I think they're just 6 just on terms of standing, but I don't think they're like 6 because they're bad. If that makes sense.
DG.
6, I got Philly. Now, this is why I got them above Miami, man. When healthy, I'm taking Joel over Hassan. To me, Joel can match Hassan defensively, but offensively, I feel like Joel is the superior player. Superior player in the post and has more range. To me, Joel has best center in the league potential. And for the fact that he's 7 feet, 250 with a post game, he's actually a legit center, which teams should be afraid of because there's not a lot of real centers. It hasn't been for years, but centers are slowly coming back. Markelle Fultz, man, that man has game. He has game. Like, I don't even know who I will pick as rookie of the year. It's just so deep, but to me, it's between Markelle and Ben Simmons, which is not fair because Ben is a red shirt. But, hey, he's a rookie. He qualifies. I feel like Markelle and Ben is a perfect marriage for each other. And for the fact that you got J.J. Redick, who's a better shooter than anybody in Miami, including Josh, to spread that floor is going to do wonderful for their spacing because these guys are going to attack the paint like crazy. They got the athleticism, and they have the swag. This is a cocky team. They know they're good.
They are, but they're also rookies. Like they don't know what it's like to be in the league. Like they're gonna have growing pains, and I feel like you didn't really factor in that they're gonna have growing pains. They're gonna have games where they look like rookies, and these are above average rookies, obviously, but they're gonna have games where, man, wow, Ben Simmons doesn't look good tonight, or Markelle Fultz doesn't really look good tonight. Like that's the part of growing into the league, and I feel like that's why I took that as disrespect to the Heat that you put them over them.
No, I mean only 2 of them are rookies. The guy I started off with was Joel, and to me,
But
Philly
those 2 rookies are main pieces. Like they're
I
key
understand that.
contributors to this team. It's not like they're getting brought in. Like these guys are getting handed the franchise as soon as they walk in.
I understand that. I do. Trust me, I do understand that. But looking at what they had beforehand, last year, those guys were veterans, and I feel like Ben and Markelle are definitely superior than those guys. I mean, T.J. McConnell, I liked what he did at the time, but Markelle to me is light years ahead. Covington, I feel like him being on the bench is it's okay because he's definitely gonna produce.
I think he's starting. I think Saric is on the bench. They're bringing Saric
off the bench.
Yeah, Saric's coming off the bench.
I don't
and he's
like
a guy
that.
I forgot to mention, and
I don't like that.
He's a good player too.
No,
I really
he
like
is.
him.
Probably did it for what, defense? Is that why?
Yeah, and I think they like Ben Simmons better at the 4, and by him handling the ball, or 4-1, like he'll be point forward at the 4. That's a lot more spacing.
Yeah, it is more. Well, Sorry can shoot.
Yeah, but I feel like it's also defense too. Like they don't want Ben Simmons guarding like LeBron and KD when Covington can be that guy.
But hey, these are good problems to have, though.
Mm-hmm.
And Sarek, to me, was this close to winning Rookie of the Year
Should have
himself.
won it. In my opinion, I think Embiid should have won it, but he didn't play enough. So
No, Embiid
it should have
won
went
it,
to Sarek.
Okay, but with that in mind, they just oozing with talent, and to me, age doesn't matter when you got guys that are just classes above these veterans. Sometimes these guys have been in the league for so long, but they just can't handle what's in front of them. We've seen so many rookies that just look light years ahead of guys who are seasoned. To me, that's not gonna matter. And yeah, I'm one of these guys that just disrespects the East. It's trash. I'm sorry, it's trash. I don't see that many teams competing with West teams, like how you say. Like, we didn't even talk about Toronto yet, and I don't feel like they can compete. I feel like if they were in the West, they wouldn't even make the playoffs. But I just looking at player to player and play style. I just like Philly more than Miami. Even from the coaching standpoint, like, people really don't understand how good of a coach Brent is, like, because they just been losing. But Brent Brown is a really good coach coming from that Spurs tree. Hey.
All right, moving into the top 5 now. Hot Rod, who's your 5th pick?
The Toronto Raptors.
I agree.
They're another team that I feel like they made a couple like small moves. They got rid of DeMar Carroll and replaced him with CJ Miles. And they got rid of Corey Joseph. But I feel like they're pretty stagnant. They didn't really get any better. They didn't get too much worse. So I think they're going to be right where they are. I like DeRozan. I like Lowry. I mean, for them to get better, I feel like they need that third guy. They need Ibaka to step up, or Valanciunas. They need them to step up and take another step and be that third guy. And they also need DeMar DeRozan to shoot more threes. Like, he needs to have that three-point jump shot to really complete his game. And I like Norman Powell. I think he can be a really good player. And I like that draft pick that they got, OG Anunoby. He can be a good player for them too and really help them on the defensive end. He's supposed to be a really good defender. And if he really can knock down that three-point shot, he could be a really good 3-and-D guy for them. But I really do like that CJ Miles move. He's a good three-point guy for them. But at the end of the day, I think they're pretty like right where they are. I don't think they moved up or moved down.
Yeah, I totally agree. And they're my 5th as well. You two, quickly, true or false? DeMar DeRozan will be the best shooting guard in the East this season.
Who does he have to compete with?
Bradley Beal.
Oh, I like him over Beal.
After Beal, what's the rest of the
I mean, it's just
competition?
East.
Yeah, I like him over Beal, in my opinion.
I think so too. Like Rod said, he's got to get that 3-point shot up. He's got to get that shot up. But if he does, yeah, definitely. I definitely think he could be the top shooting guard in the East.
I do not. Here's why. To me, Bradley Beal is the superior 3-point shooter. We already established that. And to me, he's also the better defender. I feel like they are both pretty good in the clutch, but, for what they've experienced. But I trust Bradley a little more. Now, DeRozan could create a shot against anybody, mid-range. That's pretty good and all, but I just don't trust DeRozan. I feel like he's such a regular season player. He's going to be an all-star because, there's not many players still left here. But I don't feel like he's going to be better than last year.
I think the difference between the two, it depends on who you have at point. Like, I feel like Bradley Beal is the perfect fit for John Wall, but I feel like DeRozan wouldn't be that good of a fit with John Wall. if that makes sense.
I mean, DeRozan needs to be that guy.
Yeah, like he needs to have the ball in his hands. He needs to ISO and do all that stuff. And like Lowry, they can do that because there are only two guys there in Toronto and Washington as well, really. I mean, if you want to add Morris, he could be that third guy. But Beal can come off screens. Beal can, do all this other action that can really open up space for Wall. So I think that's why Beal is a top shooting guard, and he does the little things that helps Wall become better, and that's what makes him great.
But think about where the league is going. It's starting to get away from isolation, more so about team ball, which is pretty good. Because isolation ball is not winning championships.
Mm.
DeRozan, to me, is a better isolation player than team player. To me, he's a street baller that just made the league because he's just uber talented, uber athletic. But I don't see him having a game that can improve. I just feel like he's gonna be better at what he does. To me, I'm not gonna say he's gonna fall off. I just feel like he's gonna be a little stagnant, as opposed to Bradley, where I'm sure he can shoot a mid range, but he doesn't need one because he's an elite sniper. His only thing has been health, but for him and John Wall to have so much on their shoulders and to push them, that's why I got Bradley above DeRozan. Now going to the rest of Toronto, Ibaka, to me, he's been the same player for about 6 years now. I don't feel like he's going to step up and be any different. He helps, though. He's going to help. I really like to see J. Miles move, too, man. As long as he's not taking the last shot, he's going to produce really well. Kyle Lowry, that's who I feel like is going to drop off. I'm tired of looking at him in the playoffs. And I feel like, to me, he's hitting to a point where he's going to start to decline. They need to get rid of Valanciunas because they don't even want him. I feel like Jonas can produce somewhere else. I think it'd be better for both parties. Outside of that, to me, Dwayne Casey has the same old, same old. I just don't see anything worth getting excited about.
Moving into spot number 4, Hot Rod.
Spot number 4, I have my Miami Heat. I think that people are really sleeping on the Heat, and the reason why I have them higher than what most people think is because I think they're closer to the team that they were on the second half of the year than they were the first half of the year. Last year they started out the year 11-30, and they finished the year 30-11, which is one of the most dramatic turnarounds ever, if not the most dramatic turnaround ever in the league. And I think they're more closer to that second half team where they were 30-11. They really had a lot of injuries in the first half of the year, and I think that this year they'll be a little more healthier. They're a lot deeper now. Like, this Heat team could go 10, 11 deep with players. And they're one of those teams that on any given night, it's someone else that's going to really step up and play well. Like, they don't have the bona fide superstar that you need to count on every night. So one night it could be Goran Dragic with 30 points, or one night it could be Hassan Whiteside with 30 and 20, or the next night it could be Dion Waiters hitting clutch shots. And so they have a lot of different moving pieces, and that could either help or hurt them when the time comes. But I see them being a team that will have home court advantage in the East because they play great defense. They're one of the better defensive teams, and if their three-point shot is falling for those guys, then I see them really taking that leap into the home court advantage. And like DG was saying, I think Josh Richardson's going to have a breakout year. Like, a lot of people don't really know much about him, but I think he has all the tools to be a really good basketball player. He's great defensively. Can really shoot the three. I think he's really working on being a facilitator, like pick and roll player. I really love the Kelly Olynyk addition. Hassan Whiteside. He's going to get you numbers. He's going to lead the league in something. He's led the league in blocks and rebounding in each of the past 2 years. James Johnson, no one's really I think he's a poor man's version of Draymond Green. Tyler Johnson, I think, could be sixth man of the year. He's really good. He's worked on his shooting as well. So they have a lot of pieces that on any other team, these guys would be really good players, and it and they have a great coach too. I think Spo is a really smart coach, and we'll just have to see how they fit everything and if they can find the minutes for everyone. And I didn't even mention Justice, so they have a lot of pieces and a lot of good players.
My fourth team is the Washington Wizards. The Wizards are just hard to analyze because honestly, I don't think they're a regular season team. They're a playoff team. But at the same time, you expect so much for them in the playoffs because they can match up with any East team, and they just found a way to disappoint.
It's the bench.
It definitely is, man.
They don't
Yeah,
have
I
a
was getting
bench.
into it, and I don't feel like they helped the bench at all this
I think I'm
offseason.
talking myself into dropping the Wizards to 4 and the Heat to 3 because of the bench.
You're tripping for having the Heat that long anyway. They're not even close to the Bucks.
Why
But
not?
well, when I get to the Bucks, I'll explain why. Because I got a lot of praise coming their direction. Scott Brooks is a guy that does not elevate his stars, in my opinion. To me, he's the guy that can get them to where they want to be, but not get them above. I feel like Kevin Durant would have been an MVP in this league anyway. I feel like Westbrook is just a workhorse, so he was going to be a great player anyway. James really broke out after he left Scott. If I was wrong, then Ibaka would be a better player than what he is now. But all he did was add a 3. But so many people need him on the block. It would have benefited OKC a lot if he just had a little bit of post offense. Anyway, now I'm looking at Washington. I love Otto Porter's progression. I feel like he's really huge, and I love that small ball lineup when he plays the 4. Kelly Oubre, I need him to step up. I feel like he could really help this team, especially on the perimeter. He's got a lot of potential, a lot of athleticism. Not a lot of defense, in my opinion, but to me, he has the tools to be a better defender. And then Mr. Wall, Mr. Bill, it's only so much 2 players can do, and they need that time to rest. And the gap between Wall and Bradley and the rest of the team is just so dramatic. I don't see them hitting that 60, 55 game win mode. I feel like they will continue to be a low 50, high 40s team until they fix that.
Top 3 now. Rod?
As I mentioned earlier, at number 3, I have the Washington Wizards. I think, like DG was saying, they match up pretty well with anyone. They have Gortat. Gortat's a good center, good rebounder. They have Morris. Morris is sort of that small ball 4, but has a bigger body, so he could match up with some of the bigger 4s as well. Porter really surprised me last year with how well of a three-point shooter he is. And then you have Beal and Wall, who are all-stars. But other than that, they don't have much to offer. I mean, Oubre's okay. And after that, I don't even know who they have on their bench other than that. So I think that's going to hurt them come playoff time. And in the regular season, I had them at 3, but I think I'm going to switch. I think I'm going to have them drop because I forgot that Morris is out. Morris is injured, and we don't even know who they're going to start at the 4 now. So I think that really hurts them to start out the season, but I think they'll really catch fire and when Morris gets back and make a huge push.
It looks like they've got Jason Smith starting at the 4 so far during preseason.
Okay. He's okay, but he's good for them offensively. He can shoot. He can really hit that corner 3.
Yeah, but he's a bench guy.
Yeah, he's a bench guy. But I think I'm gonna drop them. I think I might have them at like 5th. So
I would start Otto at the 4, Oubre at the 3, and just make them run. What you need to play half court for with that type of team.
Well, are they playing 40 minutes a game? So who are you gonna have after that?
No, I mean they're used to it apparently.
So I think
That's why I got them 4.
I forgot to factor in Morris was hurt. So I think I'm gonna have Washington a little lower. I wouldn't say I'd have the Heat at 3, so maybe Milwaukee or Toronto can maybe push their way up to 3.
Now you start getting there. Yeah.
But I mean, like I said earlier, like those two teams, they really didn't get any better. I think they just are sort of stagnant to where they are. I think the Heat really got better this offseason. So, I mean, it really depends on how well these teams play and who's really hot at the right times, honestly. But like I said, from 6 to 1, like these are all teams that can compete with each other. So it really, those seedings will all depend between like 2 to 3 wins. So it's not like that big of a difference from 3 to 6.
So DG, you got the Bucks at 3.
Hey, grab the popcorn while I grab the pom-poms because I'm expecting so much from the Milwaukee Bucks, man. Oh,
Man,
my God. Look.
expectations hurt, man.
Yeah, it do. Unless they come true. Man, look. LeBron is the best player in the league. LeBron's the best player in the East. But Giannis played like the best player in the East last year. This man led them in every statistical category. My God. He could mess around and do it again. But I feel like he's going to be even better. His first game in the preseason, that's all I needed to see. That man came in and he worked. I can tell he worked all season. To me, he's the most dominant player without a jump shot from the 3. There's nothing he can't do, and there's not a position he can't play. But now the rest of the team is starting to come up. I feel, I know Malcolm Brogdon isn't looking so hot in the preseason so far, but I got faith that he's going to turn it around. And then he's not a guy where you need him to carry the offense anyway. So it's okay. I got a lot of faith in Thon. I feel like Thon can push most improved player. He can push that. I feel like he has all the tools Giannis has. I mean, but taller. Both ends of the court. To me, Thon, looking at Giannis, I thought he was nothing I've never seen before. But then I look at Thon, and I'm like, Thon is nothing I've never seen before because he's taller than Giannis. And I feel like he's going to eventually become stronger. Well, not stronger. As big as Giannis. Because Giannis got huge. I mean, God, I want his workout plan. Jabari, to me, can score on anybody. Now, anybody can score on him. But with that much defense, that much size that Milwaukee has, I don't feel like defense is going to be an issue. I feel like this team will lead the league in block shots. I feel like Jabari is going to hit the 20 point per game mark. And then Chris Middleton, the one that everybody forgets about, man, he's going to lead. He's going to be huge for that team when it comes to veteran leadership, the one that's going to keep composure. He still gets his buckets. He still defends. And then, man, I really was surprised how well Tony Snell played last year. Like, to me, he looked like a legit starter. I'm like, where was this at? As a Bulls fan, I've been looking for that. But him coming off the bench.
Maybe it's the organization.
Probably, because, us in organization.
It is.
We are the worst.
I was just saying maybe it is.
We're the worst. But
Shots fired.
Greg Monroe, too, off the bench.
Greg
That's a big
Monroe.
piece.
Beautiful. And I love John Henson. I'm a John Henson fan. To me, when it comes to rebounds and, getting blocks, like, that's a guy that you definitely need. Matthew Dellavedova, backup point. I will make him backup point. I like the Brogdon move at point. Now to me, they're deep. And with that just much size, athleticism, speed, length, coaching, I like Jason Kidd more than everybody else. I admit, to me, I feel like he's done a marvelous job. I feel like that 1 year in Brooklyn when they went to the second round, I feel like he did better than people give him credit for. Them old geezers, actually, if you looked at them, they played better against the West than they did the East. I mean, it took a team like Miami to eliminate them. Hey, Jason Kidd, to me, has an MVP in his hands and another player who has potential to be an MVP. And I have Milwaukee making my Eastern Conference Finals. That's enough cheering for right now.
All right, number 2, Rod.
Number 2, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Whoa.
The reason
I'm not surprised.
the reason why I have the Cleveland Cavaliers is I feel like, yeah, they have a much different team than they had last year, but I feel like they're gonna take it as the same approach. Like they're gonna take the regular season like it's just the regular season. They're not really gonna be focused until it's playoff time. I think they're gonna take games off. They're not gonna play as hard some games. Like they have a bunch of old guys, and there might be even games where we see LeBron take games off. And I know the NBA made the schedule a lot easier, and they made the rules on resting players, but I feel like there's loopholes to everything, and I feel like the Cavs will find a way to rest LeBron and rest like those bigger guys, and I feel like they're still like experimenting with their team, and I feel like they have the talent to get back to the finals again, but I think they're not going to take the regular season as serious as everyone else.
My number 2, well, after that reaction, you should know, is the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this about Cleveland and Boston. They're just gonna take advantage of the rest of the East. I don't feel like neither team would be a top 3 in the West. Neither one would be a top 3 team in the West. Having said that, Boston, we already talked about Kyrie Irving, his impact. Gordon Hayward was, they've been pulling for that for the longest, so I know they're happy to have him. What I like is Jaylen Brown and their rookie, Jason Tatum. I feel like those two are going to really produce a lot. Like I feel like they both get hit the 15 point per game range thing, And if Jason Tatum come off the bench, you might see a Ben Gordon situation where he could be a rookie of the year and 6-man of the year. That would be incredible because looking at the way that Jason plays, I've never seen a rookie so polished, offensively. Like, he's like Carmelo, but his 3 was better than Carmelo's at the time. Melo, people forget Melo wasn't exactly a sniper from distance coming into the league. It's when he cut the braids off is when the 3-point cut started falling down. But Jason is a handful. Outside of that, it's just based upon the competition. I just feel like they're better. Brad Stevens is going to win a lot of games for them. He's going to cover a lot of sins. Al Horford, you can't forget about him. He's going to handle the dirty work. He's going to hit the shots that you need the most when things are going wrong. Terry Rozier, I feel like, is really going to produce a lot. But at the same time, regular season team, that's where I see him as. I see it as a low 50 team, low 50 win team. I don't feel like there's going to be a 60 win team in the East. And I don't like them in a matchup against Milwaukee. I really don't. I feel like Milwaukee will overwhelm them athletically, will out-rebound them ferociously. I feel like Kyrie will have too much in his hands, all those wing defenders. And look, Gordon is really good and all, but I feel like he would have a really down series against Giannis. And if it went 7 games, that would be even more bad for their health. I feel like Milwaukee's probably going to take him in 6.
All right, Rod, number 1. Now it's your turn to talk about the Celtics.
I love everything that they did this summer except grab an actual big that can rebound. And I think that's what's going to hurt them in the playoffs. But like Gigi was saying, they're going to be a good regular season team. They're going to put up points. And there'll be nights where if they can't shoot, they can't rebound. So that's where they'll really get hurt. But other than that, they have Kyrie. Kyrie's really looking to have like a Russell Westbrook type year this year. Like not in terms of triple doubles, but I think he looked at how much Russ got praised last year and like how James Harden got praised, and he wanted that too. He didn't want to be in the shadows of LeBron and stuff. So I think he's really motivated to have at least a 30-point per game season. And Gordon Hayward was a great addition. I mean, I really wish he went to the Heat, but he was a great pickup for them. He's going to be a stud. He'll be an all-star here in the East as well. And Tatum and Brown, that's where their postseason success really depends on how much they can grow up this season. Kyrie, you know what you're gonna get from Kyrie. You know what you're gonna get from Hayward. You know what you're gonna get from Horford. But it's really those two guys that really are the mysteries of this team. And you know what you're gonna get from Marcus Smart, good defender. Can really guard any guard really, and some of those bigger wings too for a guy his size. And Terry Rozier is another guy that people sleep on too. I think he's pretty good backup for Kyrie. And even the Morris twin that they got, he'll be a good help in terms of spacing and all that stuff. But like I said, what really is gonna hurt them is rebounding, and that's where we're gonna see that really shine in the playoffs. But regular season wise, I think they'll be the number one team in the East.
I could see Rozier being like a 6-man of the year for them.
Really? Well,
coming off the bench.
Well, that's because they're starting. Well, right now they're starting Tatum, Brown, and Hayward as like the three middle guys between Horford and Kyrie. So yeah, I could see him really taking a step forward. But 6-man of the year, that's pretty bold.
They're doing that in the regular season?
Well, that's what they've been starting preseason.
Well, preseason is always a little different.
They started all
games
except the first one. That's who they started.
Who's the 4? Was it Jalen?
Tatum.
I don't think Tatum's a 4. I feel like he's a wing.
You don't, but Brad Stevens does.
I mean, hey, Brad Stevens knows more about basketball.
And that's
than
the
me.
thing too. I think he's a really underrated coach. I mean, he's
not
good.
underrated.
Let me finish. I mean, he was underrated, and he's really starting to get shine now.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's really one of the smarter coaches in the NBA today. If I had a top 5 coaches, he'd be 5 or 6.
I think he's the perfect coach for that team. He fits
Or
really
he'd
well
be
in that
4 or
situation.
5. He'd be 4 through 6 range because you got to factor in Pop, Kerr. I like Spo a little over Brad Stevens, and then it's Brad Stevens, so he'd be 4 probably. I feel like I'm missing someone though.
Rick Carlisle?
Yeah, Rick Carlisle, yeah. I think Carlisle's 3 then. And then I drop Spo to 4 and Stevens 5. So yeah, I'm right. Around 5.
Brad is my 2.
Over who? Over everyone else?
Except Pop.
So you like him over Kerr?
Right now.
Why?
Kerr's been out a lot of times, and his assistant coach. And to me, the staff is better than maybe the Celtics staff, but as opposed to head coaching itself.
The reason why I give Kerr a lot of credit, yeah, he has great players, but what Mark Jackson was running with Golden State, that wasn't really working. And he came in and really just switched up everything that they did, and that really turned them from okay, maybe they could be really good, to like a great team.
I understand that. But like I said, he hasn't been there all the time. Dealing with injuries. First it was Luke Walton, then it was Mike Brown.
But it's his philosophy that those coaches are following anyways.
I understand that, but you know how many times we've seen head coaches go down and teams fall off the map? To me, he has a great surrounding. And for me, Brad, what he had in his hands going ground up, like, you just seen it from day one. His X's and O's was above all. To me, Steve Kerr, I agree with you.
The thing with Brad is I want to see how he does with superstar players. And the reason why I have Spo ahead of him is Spo had the big threes. Spo had LeBron, and he was able to succeed with those. And he also had the team he had last year that everyone thought was going to be a lottery pick team or a top 5 pick team. And they were a Nets crappy sitting players last game away from being in the playoffs with the team that had no all-stars. So that's why I have him over Steven. So really have to see how he does this year for me to really put him number 2 over everybody else.
That word superstar. We're going to go. I'm going to just go to my number 1, Cleveland.
Go ahead.
All right. LeBron, I don't like Cleveland. You guys know that. But I like them when it comes to East. When you're looking at the East, a lot of these teams' issues is their next 5s. I feel like, even though I don't feel like these guys fit as well as they did last year with each other when it comes to talent, IQ. Their next five is better than any next five in the East. I'm afraid of how they're going to play when LeBron sits out. Is there a confirmation on LeBron's status for the season opener? Because I know he was dealing with that ankle, and he wasn't too sure if he was going to play the first game. But that's where I got them losing a lot of games at, because they're going to have to preserve LeBron. Having said that, when Cleveland wants to play, to me, there's not a lot of East teams that can beat them. And there's not any East team that can beat them twice. I just feel like they're just going to take advantage of competition. They're going to disappoint. Well, to some people, they're going to disappoint to the West. You know, top 4 teams, I feel like they can give it to Cleveland. And that's why I don't see Cleveland as a 60-win team. But they're just going to feast on the East. They're going to feast on the East, and that's why I feel like they're going to be number 1. And it's just no East team yet that has proven to me they can take them, that they can take their crown. Only because of LeBron James.
Yeah, it looks like LeBron's still day-to-day with that ankle injury, so he's definitely of question for that season opener, which would really be a bummer because what a highly anticipated game that is. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate all of the support for the most up-to-date news in the NBA as well as NFL and other sports and hip-hop. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at LaFlare_media. As always, we appreciate all of your support.
York City.